I am more alarmed today than I was yesterday after having read the report. What is clear to me is that Justin Trudeau knew and didn't act, and Pierre Poilievre doesn't even want to know about serious allegations touching his party. To me, that disqualifies him as a leader, and I do not buy his phony excuses. Both Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre are putting the interests of their party ahead of the country, and that is wrong. Je suis plus inquiété aujourd'hui qu'hier après avoir lu les documents. C'est clair que Justin Trudeau a su l'information, mais il n'a pas agi, et que Pierre Poilievre ne veut pas savoir les détails des allégations qui touchent directement à son parti. Je n'accepte pas ces excuses. C'est clair que les deux, Justin Trudeau et Pierre Poilievre, veulent protéger leur parti au lieu de défendre le pays. Foreign interference is harmful to Canadians. It is especially harmful to people connected to countries like India and China, who are the most frequent practitioners of foreign interference. People should be free to speak their minds, disagree with foreign governments, advocate for policies, run for office, exercise their vote, and be free from intimidation and harassment. At its extreme, foreign interference can result in violence, as we have seen with the alleged involvement of India in the murder of a Canadian on Canadian soil. Today I'm going to speak to you about my impressions and opinions based on the unredacted report from NSICOP on foreign interference. I'm not going to discuss the details from that report, like the names. I'm not going to do that because to do so could jeopardize the ability of our national security systems to do the work that we need them to do to keep us safe, to safeguard our democracy. It is important to say that while I have seen the unredacted report, I did not have access to all the same intelligence that the members of the NSICOP committee had when they came to their conclusions. But after having read the report, I am more convinced than ever of the conclusions of the NSICOP committee and the report, that some parliamentarians are, in the words of the intelligence services, semi-witting or witting participants in the efforts of foreign states to interfere in our politics. That all of these behaviors of these MPs are deeply unethical and contrary to the oaths and affirmations parliamentarians take to conduct themselves in the best interest of Canada. In short, there are a number of MPs who have knowingly provided help to foreign governments, some to the detriment of Canada and Canadians. There are also politicians at all levels of government who have benefited from foreign interference. Some of this behavior absolutely appears to be criminal and should be prosecuted. The redacted report also discusses the Conservative leadership contests, which were the targets of foreign interference by China and India. The Prime Minister has had access to intelligence that raises concerns about MPs knowingly benefiting from foreign interference. He may disagree with that intelligence, but I believe he has not taken the steps he should have to deal with this. He has sent the message that he is willing to accept some level of foreign interference. The Leader of the Opposition has had information for 10 days that Conservative leadership races were the target of foreign interference by India, a country that is also alleged to have killed a Canadian on Canadian soil, as well as interference from China. His response has been silence. He's not answered a single question from the media. We do not know if anyone from the Conservative Party has followed up on these concerns. And he refuses to get security clearance to get further information that could help him know what happened and what he can do about it. He doesn't want to know, and that is deeply troubling. No one should put their party's interests ahead of the country's interests. Canada comes first. I am not relieved after reading this report. I am more concerned today than I am than I was yesterday. This government has received multiple repeated warnings and recommendations and has not acted. Today, Canada is vulnerable to foreign interference, and this weakens our democracy and the confidence of Canadians. I believe we must find a way to let MPs who are named in this report know that we know what they're up to. I believe this can be done in a way that doesn't compromise national security. If there continues to be no consequences for MPs who knowingly help foreign governments act against Canadian interests, we will continue to be an easy target. Removing MPs who knowingly participate in foreign interference would have the deterring effect on this type of behavior. It would send a message that these countries cannot try to use MPs in this manner. I'm ready for any questions you might have.
Was Elizabeth May wrong? Because she said she was relieved.
Now, I'm responding to the details or my opinion based on the report that I read. The unredacted or the redacted version that Canadians have access to alone should have raised serious concerns and should have maintained those concerns. The redacted version of this report makes it very clear that the Prime Minister knew about this and that there's serious allegations directly impugning the Conservative Party and Conservative Party leadership races, and Pierre Poilievre doesn't want to know. Those should already be seriously concerning. What I read has only bolstered the conclusions that NSICOP report outlines, has only made those conclusions even more concrete.
Mr. Singh, why are you saying the Prime Minister is not willing to take action in the face of what he knows?
Based on what is already publicly available, we saw that he was slow to act and accepted a certain level of foreign interference. That has been confirmed by the report, and it shows unwillingness to take this as seriously as it should be taken. And the fact that Pierre Poilievre doesn't even want to know makes it clear that both of these individuals, Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre, are putting the interests of their party ahead of the country, and that's wrong.
What parties are these MPs associated with? And you're saying MPs, so I'm presuming that they are currently sitting, correct?
I can't respond directly to those two questions, but I can say that there are serious concerns about MPs. That was the conclusion of the NSICOP report. After having read the unredacted version, I am more convinced than ever of the conclusions of the report that is absolutely true.
Was there anything in the unredacted report that was connected to you personally?
I was a target.
Expand on that?
For Nikki Ashton to take her family to Quebec City.
En français?
S'il vous plaît, ce que vous êtes en train de nous dire, c'est qu'il y a des députés actuellement qui siègent à la Chambre des communes qui ont fait de l'ingérence étrangère, alors que Mme May nous dit le contraire. C'est la conclusion. Vous avez une conclusion complètement différente d'elle, là. Vous vous rendez compte à la suite de la lecture du même rapport?
Les conclusions dans le rapport qui est public indiquent aussi qu'il y a des députés et soulèvent le fait qu'il y a des députés qui ont participé dans l'ingérence étrangère, et après avoir lu les documents, les conclusions de ce rapport étaient confirmées. Donc il y a des conclusions qui étaient confirmées par le document que j'ai lu.
How are you a target? How are you a target?
The report indicated that I was a target.
Is it time to walk? Our democracy is on the line. Is it time to walk away from your affiliation with the Liberal Party? Liberal government.
What the report indicates to me is that this is something that's very serious and should be alarming to all Canadians, and that it requires action. And so what I want to do is, I think that, first of all, every leader of a political party should read the unredacted version. We should talk about how we can take the necessary steps as leaders to ensure that each of our parties are protected from interference in this manner. And we should continue to do the work in committee like we're doing, pushing for the public inquiry to also include the Conservative Party leadership races. We should, as leaders, meet and discuss how we are ensuring that none of our candidates that are running, so that we can ensure that our democracy is protected.
Mr. Singh, was it
En
appropriate?
français, M. Singh, donc vous avez mis au défi tous les chefs de parti d'exclure de leur caucus n'importe quel député qui serait mentionné dans ce rapport-là. Est-ce qu'il y a lieu? Est-ce qu'il y a des députés qui soient exclus d'un caucus? Et du vôtre, avez-vous une confirmation que vous n'avez pas à aller de ce côté-là, jusque-là?
Je peux dire qu'après, j'ai lu les documents, que je n'ai pas une raison pour prendre plus des actions pour mon parti. Mais c'est clair qu'on doit prendre des actions pour continuer de travailler contre l'ingérence étrangère en général dans le Parlement. On a suivi?
Allez-vous faire des représentations auprès du chef d'un autre parti ou de plusieurs chefs d'un autre parti pour qu'ils expulsent des députés de leur caucus après avoir lu ce rapport? De quel parti on parle?
Je ne peux pas nommer des détails, mais je peux dire que, comme j'ai dit avant, que tous les chefs de parti, même il y a une seule partie qui reste, mais il y a deux partis qui restent, donc Pierre Poilievre doit lire le document, doit expliquer pourquoi il était si lent sur ces allégations, pourquoi il ne veut pas savoir les détails, pourquoi il ne veut pas savoir plus des détails sur les allégations directement, qui est notre pays a ingéré, ingérence étrangère, des allégations qui ça touche son parti et les courses à la chefferie. Donc, il doit expliquer pourquoi il ne veut pas savoir tout ça.
The MPs that are involved, wittingly or unwittingly, are they traitors to Canada?
What they're doing is unethical. It is, in some cases, against the law, and it is indeed they are indeed traitors to the country.
Why are you comfortable sitting in the House?
Contained within the report
I'll give you the next one.
that are criminal in nature. Why do you say that?
Well, this was the conclusion of the NSICOP report that's publicly available as well. It was just confirmed upon reading the unredacted version. I can say that conclusion, I'm fully convinced that is absolutely true.
Are you comfortable knowing what you know?
I'll give you this one.
Well, you go next.
Do you have any comment on Nikki Ashton taking her family to Quebec City over Christmas and billing taxpayers $17,000 for that trip?
All MPs have to follow very strict rules in submitting their expenses to the House of Commons. I expect all my MPs and all MPs in the House to follow those rules and submit claims. Those claims were submitted and approved.
Why are you comfortable? Sorry, I let you go, so it's my turn. Are you comfortable sitting in the House, knowing what you know, and is there a list of MPs in the unredacted report?
Well, the redacted version also suggests there's MPs, so that's publicly available, and that's confirmed by the unredacted version. So certainly it is clear that there are MPs, plural. That was available publicly, and that's confirmed in the unredacted version as well. So it is very serious, and this matter is not in any way addressed, and that's why I said I'm not relieved at all, in fact, I am more disturbed today than I am yesterday. I'm more disturbed by what I've learned, and it really does highlight to me the failure of leadership of both Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre. Deeply concerning failures of leadership. Like, I don't understand, after having read that report, why Justin Trudeau didn't act sooner and continues to show inaction, and why Pierre Poilievre, as I am, a prospective candidate to become Prime Minister of this country, why he expects that people should have trust in him when he doesn't want to know about very disturbing allegations directly connected to his party, that India, among other countries, were involved in foreign interference in leadership races. The fact that he doesn't want to know and has been silent, I believe, very firmly disqualifies him as a prospective leader of this country. Disqualifies him entirely.
En vous entendant que vous avez lu tous les chefs un rapport complètement différent les uns des autres. Là. Vous nous donnez des conclusions qui sont absolument pas les mêmes que Mme May, qui sont pas les mêmes que Dominique Leblanc nous a données. Qu'est-ce qu'on doit retrouver dans ce rapport-là? Est-ce qu'il y a une liste, oui ou non, de députés? On croit comprendre que oui, alors que Mme May nous a dit que non. Comment on explique là, ce langage-là qui est complètement différent, dépendamment à qui on parle?
Les conclusions qui sont publiques indiquent clairement qu'il y a des députés pluraux. C'est clair dans les conclusions. Donc ça, c'est public. Ça, c'est là. C'est écrit noir sur blanc qu'il y a des députés et dans le rapport qui est aussi c'est public que ces députés ont engagé dans les actes qui sont des actes d'ingérence étrangère et que ces actes sont contre la loi dans certains cas et tous les actes ce ne sont pas des actes de quelqu'un avec des bons éthiques. Donc c'est tout ça c'est dans le rapport public. Donc ce que j'ai vu confirme tout ça. Et ça a du sens parce que c'est dans les conclusions et le rapport a plus de détails, donc ça confirme les conclusions.
Your conclusion is very different from what Ms. May said yesterday. She seemed relieved yesterday. You say it's worse. Were you reading two different reports?
What I'm saying to you is that the conclusion that NSICOP has come with, those conclusions didn't change by anyone's reading of it. The conclusions are still there for the public to read. The conclusions are MPs, plural, were engaged in activities that NSICOP, which is comprised of very, very respectable members of Parliament and other individuals, that conclusion says that the multiple MPs engaged in behavior that is, in some cases, illegal and criminal, and all the behavior is unethical. Those conclusions that the report has publicly given to everybody, I believe, were incredibly confirmed with further details that I read. So the conclusions are there in front of everybody. I'm saying that I've read the document that supports those conclusions, and in fact, I am more convinced than ever of those conclusions.
Our democracy is at stake here. So why are you continuing to prop up the government who you say isn't taking democracy seriously? Why do you continue to prop them up?
So the question is, what are we going to do about it?
No,
the question
is,
to
why
me.
do you continue to prop up the government when you say our democracy is at stake and this government is not taking our democracy seriously? Why continue to back them up?
We're not at all doing that. What we're saying is we're going to demand answers. We're going to continue to push for solutions. Because we're in Parliament right now, I was able to read these documents. Because we're in Parliament now, we've been able to push for a letter to have the public inquiry also include the Conservative leadership race in a part of the public inquiry's work. We want to use the tools as parliamentarians, as a parliamentarian myself, to use the tools that we have, that I have, to advance democracy. I want to use the tools that I have to get to the bottom of this. The suggestion that an election is a solution to election interference is, I think, a fallacy. What we need to do is use the tools we have to get to the bottom of this. I want to continue to push for more solutions. I want to push for more transparency. I want to push to learn more so we can have better solutions.
Mr. Singh, Ms. May said, I don't think there's a debate about whether there were MPs that were named in the report, but what she said was there was not a secret list of MPs who have been disloyal to Canada. In your assessment of the unredacted report, is there a list of MPs who have been disloyal to Canada?
The conclusions that are public available suggest that there are a number of MPs that were engaged in activities that were unethical, in some cases illegal or criminal. After having read the unredacted version, I agree with that finding. Absolutely. There are clearly a number of MPs that are engaged in that behavior that is borne out by the report.
And you also...
You haven't got one yet. Go for it anyway.
What about senators? Did you see anything about current senators wittingly helping foreign governments as well?
Senators was not included in the public report, and the public report said parliamentarians, and so that is confirmed by the report that is parliamentarians, and it indicates parliamentarians and MPs.
And you previously said that you would kick out NDP MPs that were named. I take it you're not kicking anyone out of caucus today, to be clear.
That's correct.
Okay.
Should anyone else kick people out of their caucuses?
I believe other leaders should read the report and make that determination for themselves. And it's what I've said from the beginning. That's the appropriate thing to do. And I've also said that the Prime Minister has known this information and is clear has not acted and has not acted appropriately. And I maintain that position.
Est-ce qu'il y a des sénateurs impliqués? Parce que le mot parlementaire englobe les députés et les sénateurs. Donc, est-ce que, dans ce que vous avez lu, il y avait des sénateurs qui étaient impliqués?
Le document public dit député et dit des parlementaires, et ça c'est confirmé par ce que j'ai lu.
And is it current MPs? Are current MPs part of that list?
The way the public inquiry or the public document indicates that this is a concern, I am deeply concerned. I think people should also have those same concerns.
What steps, Can you give us a ballpark? Ms. May did, so can you?
There are a number of MPs.
What steps should the Prime Minister take in response to this?
Take foreign interference much more seriously, have a different response to allegations that are raised for. I think one of the examples came to light publicly was around his actions in relation to Mr. Dong. And it's clear that he accepted a certain level of knowledge of foreign interference and didn't do anything. I think that is completely unacceptable. That's wrong. It should be immediately met with swift action. He delayed in that action, and doing so sends a message that some level of interference is acceptable. That is wrong, and the Prime Minister should not have done that.
How should the Prime Minister act? How should the Prime Minister? What do you want to see from Trudeau now? How should the Prime Minister act? Do you think he should name names on the floor of the House of Commons?
I believe this applies to all leaders, that all leaders should take foreign interference seriously, act immediately. Any allegations that are serious of foreign interference should result in those MPs no longer sitting in caucus at all, and they should not be running again as parliamentarians. Thank you. Thank you.